Welcome to the 2022 annual business meeting of United Way of the Mid-South. To get us started this morning, let me present Jean Morton, the chair of our board of directors.
Good morning. Let me thank you for attending this 2022 annual business meeting of the United Way of the Mid-South. As the board chair since 2020, it has been my honor to contribute to the noble work of this organization by convening and leading a board of highly capable and volunteer leaders. Leaders who have fully embraced and who fully support the mission of this United Way. Over this last year, we have once again worked alongside a committed and professional team of executives led by Dr. Kenneth Robinson and an inspiring community leader. What we have accomplished together has been truly remarkable. In uncertain times, under considerable pressure, responding to so many of our neighbors' needs which arose in the midst of this COVID-19 pandemic. I shared with you in the annual report that it has been a challenging yet rewarding year. In my professional role as Senior Vice President of Truist Bank, I have been keenly aware of the turmoil and disruption faced by not-for-profit organizations which have had to pivot into new roles and fulfill their mission under very different circumstances over the last 21 months. United Way, as a not-for-profit charitable foundation, faced similar headwinds. Please know that our board has avidly supported and helped inform our executive leaders' difficult decisions and the operational adjustments dictated by the pandemic. And we have also applauded their innovative programmatic approaches and their diligent pursuit of diversified funding sources related to the pandemic, all while ensuring we stay focused on improving the quality of life of Mid-Southerners. Perhaps as never before, the board and staff were laser focused on this, our mission. So I am delighted to report to you that our United Way has again successfully executed the mission this year. Of course, this success would have been impossible without you, our donors, both corporate and personal. Despite the challenges you faced as our corporate partners wrestled with ever-changing working environments, and as perhaps you individually face unpredictable financial situations, you remained unwavering in your commitment to United Way, even as your own circumstances changed. For that, on behalf of the entire board of directors, thank you. Indeed, I am very proud to be a part of this community and the United Way of the Mid-South. Today, you will hear additional details about our work during this 2020-2021 year from Dr. Robinson and members of his team. Although once again, we could not be together in person, I do trust that this digital format will yet bring you even greater clarity about what we're doing to help individuals and families move from where they are to where they dream to be. It's now my pleasure to present Richard Wright, the Memphis Managing Partner of Ernst & Young, our Treasurer and Chair of the Finance Committee, who will share more about the finances and fiscal health of our United Way. Richard?
Thank you, Jean. And let me just say, it's been a privilege to serve under your leadership of the board the last couple of years. Your commitment and passion have truly been inspiring. In my brief time with you this morning, I want to give you a bit of an overview of the financial performance and the health of your United Way. Before I speak to any numbers, I think it's important to provide some context for this past fiscal year. As you all know, this pandemic has likely been the most disruptive event in our world probably since the last Great War. Personally, I've worked through things that I never expected to deal with, from rationing toilet paper and other essentials to the challenges of a remote work environment. But as always, in periods of great uncertainty and fear, those who suffer most are the under-resourced in our communities. This has strengthened the resolve and narrowed the focus of the leadership of your United Way toward its mission to improve the quality of life of Mid-Southerners. That said, as expected, we have continued to see a decline in traditional forms of raising funds through workplace campaigns. There are a number of factors driving this, but the pandemic has certainly accelerated this trend. In response, the organization has implemented salary cuts in the first half of the year and painfully had to reduce the level of grants to partnering agencies. On the positive side, these trends have accentuated the need for alternative revenue streams, and the organization has responded. In fiscal 2021, the United Way of the Mid-South continued to accelerate grant and contract revenue, supporting programs like Driving the Dream that you're familiar with. It also received a number of grants from foundations, most notably the $5 million grant from the Plow Foundation. And it's garnered revenues from aspects of the CARES Act through PPP loans and administrative fees from the Tennessee Department of Health Services Community Cares Program. Opportunities like these are likely the new normal for the United Way of the Mid-South as we continue to respond to the ever-changing landscape before us. As a result of these efforts and these gracious gifts, the United Way of the Mid-South ended fiscal 2021 in a very healthy financial position, with net assets totaling almost $18 million, which is a significant improvement from the previous fiscal year, which ended with only $10 million of net assets. With this improved financial health, there's also less dependence on borrowed funds as the United Way ended fiscal 2021 with no borrowings against its line of credit. Again, a monumental event. So while challenges certainly persist and there's still tremendous uncertainty around workplace campaigns and outside funding, the organization is well poised to continue its focus on its mission of ending or fighting poverty. I want to conclude my remarks today with a giant thank you to all of you who've continued to support this United Way and partnered with us as we've invested in this community. Thank you to our donors, both corporate and private, and certainly our partner agencies laboring on the front lines of this war against poverty. Thank you to the foundations who've invested in our cause this past year. And finally, thank you to the staff and the leadership of the United Way for your tireless efforts. You are truly making a difference in our community.
Thanks, Gene and Richard. May I first pause to share my appreciation for Jean Morton's service as our board chair. I am absolutely certain she would not have intentionally chosen these 2 years to step into this critical role, but she has been precisely the board leader we needed for such a time as this. And as always, Richard Wright has demonstrated again today why his steady counsel and seasoned leadership as our Treasurer and Finance Committee Chair have been so valuable to our United Way, perhaps never more so than during the economic turmoil of the last year. Indeed, it has been a pivotal fiscal year. In July 2020, we were 3 months into the pandemic. As Richard alluded to, it was not at all evident how significantly we would be financially impacted by the associated economic disruptions, and specifically those disruptions in the more than 400 workplaces at the 230 companies which host our annual campaigns. Consistent with what occurred at most nonprofit organizations, many of our donors also found themselves subject to furloughs, reduced hours, job losses, and family uncertainties caused by the COVID-19 crisis. And their campaign pledges became more difficult to fulfill. We understood that, and I know you did as well. But let me echo how helpful and timely the Paycheck Protection Program was in undergirding our finances, authorized, of course, by Congress's CARES Act and implemented during 2 presidential administrations. So I'm delighted to report at this annual business meeting that this year, at the height of the pandemic, our strategic priorities, our value, our visibility, our viability, our 3 V's, our organizational guiding lights have clearly been enhanced. The pandemic, and more specifically our response to the pandemic as a United Way, has accentuated our value. First, as a human services sector integrator, connecting the dots among providers on behalf of the individuals, particularly those in multi-generational poverty who needed access to services. Second, our value as a collective impact network provider, facilitating a system of services, allowing over 80 agencies to work seamlessly together with shared goals, shared data, shared measurements, and shared outcomes and solutions. Third, our value as a grant maker and a grant administrator. So much so that some of our corporate partners may now consider engaging us to help administer their corporate social responsibility grants. And certainly, even our value as a dream restorer for literally the thousands of individuals who often, for the first time ever this year, sought out Driving the Dream, our free tax prep program, and the multitude of high-quality services provided by our partner agencies. Our visibility has never been more heightened as we stepped into the forefront of efforts to save our nonprofits and to facilitate, as you've heard, those $26 million in federal relief funds to nearly 100 nonprofits in our service area and throughout West Tennessee. And finally, our viability has never been more secure as we've continued to build upon our solid workplace resource development base to significantly diversify our funding sources through grants and contracts, as Richard mentioned. Grants and contracts from government, national and local private foundations, corporate partners, healthcare corporations, and especially with a posterity-sustaining $5 million gift for our endowment fund from the Plow Foundation. Thank you to all of you who have poured so richly into this United Way. Because of who we are and what people know us to be, unlike some other local United Ways across the country, we have not withered on the vine during the pandemic. We've borne fruit, provided services we'd not provided before, in ways we often innovated and modeled for others. Furthermore, we've evolved like many agencies in a similar fashion to what has occurred in corporate partners and workplaces around us. The pandemic accelerated our adaptation to new working environments. We've been working remotely since March 2020. Consequently, our board is actually now reconsidering how we will use our headquarters at Tillman going forward. We've continued to pivot towards the use of digital platforms, digital tools, digital campaign content, and digital marketing and communications to get our message out to you, just like we're doing today, our stakeholders and our supporters. In fact, one unanticipated upside of the pandemic is that video conferencing has proven to be a much more nimble, more efficient, and more effective manner to get us into the offices of our corporate partners' busy executives. Executives who responded so generously to us time and time again, given our pandemic appeals to them. All total, at our core, we're still a public charitable foundation, and our grant making is simply dependent on our donors' discretionary contributions. Today, now that the 2020-2021 impact reports of all of our partner agencies have been analyzed, I am delighted to share that last year, because of your donations, through the wide array of programs and services provided by our wonderful United Way partner agencies, our United Way touched the lives of Mid-Southerners over 423,000 times. 423,000 times. That scope and that scale. Please join me in thanking all of the hardworking staff at the scores of nonprofits your donations helped fund, who have simply stepped up and stepped out to serve during an ongoing tsunami of need. Through our community impact investments, our free tax program, grants management, and Driving the Dream, we are literally touching thousands, transforming lives, functionally helping individuals and families to move, here it is again, from where they are to where they dream to be. To tell you more about our community impact work, let me just present Angelia Allen, our Chief Program Officer, who superintends our Community Impact Division. Angelia?
Thank you for that introduction, Dr. Robinson. As the Chief Program Officer, I provide strategic guidance to help United Way of the Mid-South advance equitable change through funding to nonprofit organizations and providing access to resources that promote economic mobility for individuals and families in our community. Economic disparity and generational poverty in the Mid-South remain key obstacles for individuals and families. Recent poverty data shows that 53.5% of people in Memphis struggle to make ends meet. 21.7% of people in the city of Memphis live in poverty, and 15.4% of people in our Arkansas, Mississippi, and Tennessee metro area live in poverty. The pandemic has underscored the necessity for our role as a community impact organization. Our investments promote economic justice and demonstrate our commitment to supporting our neighbors in need. United Way of the Mid-South remains committed to collective impact strategies that support a strong network of nonprofit organizations aligned with our mission, create awareness of social and impact barriers to stability, and provide sustainable solutions that remove those barriers. United Way of the Mid-South's Community Impact Platform provides an opportunity for better life for all. In response to the COVID-19 pandemic, we leveraged our resources to come to the aid of local nonprofit agencies. Because of our intimate knowledge of local needs, we were able to quickly mobilize funds and innovate our delivery systems to provide access to critical resources. Through our community impact grant funding, we demonstrate how shared investments contribute to positive change in our community impact. That change is evidenced by improvement in childhood success, youth success, economic mobility, and access to health care for thousands of Mid-Southerners. United Way of the Mid-South provided financial support to 71 high-performing nonprofit agencies within the United Way 8-county service area in Tennessee, Mississippi, and Arkansas. Our investments support a diverse population of programs to advance social and economic mobility throughout the Mid-South. In addition to our Community Impact Fund, United Way of the Mid-South mobilized over $27 million in resources to strengthen communities and change lives. For the second tax season, our program has had to pivot and remain adaptable as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. We completed the 2021 season by establishing 20 free tax prep sites in various locations and 4 mobile sites utilizing a walk-up, drop-off model. Within 48 hours of dropping off tax documentation, taxpayers were contacted and asked to return to the site to review and sign a completed return. Amid many challenges, from snowstorms to unplanned site closures due to COVID, 89 dedicated free tax prep volunteers persevered to serve 11,337 tax filers this past tax season, resulting in $17 million in refunds, including $4 million in earned income tax credits. Our Community Impact Town Hall is an annual event that gathers the brightest and most influential policy leaders that have demonstrated success in advancing people from poverty to prosperity. This year's town hall featured best-selling author, combat veteran, and former CEO of Robinhood, Wes Moore, who addressed the racial wealth gap and acknowledged how solutions like Driving the Dream can create economic opportunity for all in our communities. At United Way of the Mid-South, through our Community Impact Fund, the Free Tax Prep Program in partnership with the IRS, and our signature initiative, Driving the Dream, which you'll hear more about momentarily, we create long-lasting, sustainable change that benefits the entire community. We encourage individuals to pursue a life of their choosing by providing access to critical resources. We enrich a strong network of nonprofit organizations aligned with our mission through financial and technical assistance. And we engage community leaders and stakeholders by raising awareness about the complex social and economic barriers to stability for vulnerable populations. Members of this community are actively involved in our work by volunteering, donating funds, and supporting community causes that enable families to move out of poverty in a united way. Earlier, I mentioned that you will hear more about Driving the Dream. Our next speaker will highlight the positive impact of this innovative system of response. Shayla Guy Colheim recently joined United Way of the Mid-South in September of last year as the director for the Driving the Dream team. Like so many of us who do this work, Shayla has dedicated her professional career to creating positive change in our community as an educator, advocate, and college administrator. Shayla?
Thank you for the introduction, Angelia. I'm delighted to represent the Driving the Dream team. Between January 1st, 2018 and September 30th, 2021, we established partnerships with 85 organizations in Shelby County, nonprofit service agencies, healthcare payers, healthcare providers, school and government agencies, including 24 United Way of the Mid-South partner agencies. These organizations have created a resilient ecosystem, a collaborative network which collectively offers 160 different services which span 19 human service domains, including children's education and adult education, workforce development and employment, housing, food, and income assistance and healthcare. And as you saw in the annual report, Driving the Dream has impacted over 8,600 family members and more through our intensive care coordination capabilities, engaged over 13,000 interactions with individuals we've served. These Driving the Dream partnerships, formalized through data sharing agreements and memoranda of understanding, permit the use of Caseworthy, our electronic shared data platform, and enable DTD to document the impact of our efforts. Efforts such as our response to the pandemic, the Relief Call Center. We launched the Relief Call Center in April 2020 to provide direct entry portal access to Driving the Dream. In partnership with the Memphis Crisis Center, the Relief Call Center has managed over 6,000 requests for services directly from the public. The top 5 requests have been shelter and housing, credit financial management, income, food and nutrition, and employment. United Way's Relief Call Center, powered by Driving the Dream, can put callers in contact with multiple agencies without individuals having to repeat the circumstances for the call. In 2021, we determined that the call center, though born out of response to the pandemic, is an appropriate support to address the needs of Shelby County residents. As such, we will continue hosting this easily accessible, public-facing entry point to Driving the Dream. I referred previously to our data platform, Caseworthy, which, with participants' consent, provides an integrated participant database and a secure digital interface with our agency partners for them to input client information and to make seamless referrals, and for Driving the Dream to track the referrals and clients' access to services. There are now over 800 users of our platform, giving us the capacity to better serve individuals and families who need intense care coordination, to identify service needs and gaps, and to provide supportive quality improvement to our partner agencies. As you see, our participants report that Driving the Dream is having a transformational impact upon their lives. Our continuous improvement efforts and being sensitive to our partners' feedback we have completed the process of delivering an external application programming interface, or API, to address the concerns of dual data entry. The API is available to our partner agencies who can leverage this technology to make referrals through the Driving the Dream network without their users needing to manage multiple logins or enter duplicate data into multiple systems. The launch of our API is a major advancement in our efforts to reduce the barriers to data sharing in the social services sector of our community. Moreover, leveraging this platform supports the United Way of the Mid-South goal of assisting residents in transforming lives. Our efforts and achievements are a direct result of the investment of entities that value, understand, and contract with the United Way to provide wraparound services to assist residents in our service area. Whether it is the Department of Human Services investment in our 2GN model of support, First Horizon's support of the development and expansion of our data sharing platform, Regions Bank's backing to expand our workforce initiatives, AmeriGroup's support for digitalized training materials, or the city and county support for connecting individuals to rental and utility assistance, we are proud to acknowledge that in the midst of a pandemic, which caused fiscal devastation to people and businesses, these public agencies and private companies are actively investing in our efforts to help individuals move from where they are to where they dream to be.
For me, driving the dream has meant capitalizing on our deep relationships with nonprofits and intentionally creating and incentivizing equitable access to the supports and services which people who have been disproportionately impacted desperately need to finally advance toward the achievement of their dreams, not our dreams, their dreams of self-sufficiency. We've built a systemic solution on behalf of the people who populate all the statistics we quote, a solution that will functionally improve their quality of life. I'm very proud of that. We are committed to systemic change. And I want to share today that our board and executives are equally committed to operationalize our position, opposing all forms of racism and ethnic discrimination, to ensure annual racial and ethnic equity training for all staff and board members, and finally, to use racial and ethnic equity as one of the criteria for our ongoing community investments. I'm particularly proud today to announce our brand new equity fund established by our board. The Equity Fund seeks to invest in grassroots, community-identified interventions and strategies to improve neighborhoods by addressing root causes of racial and economic inequity. For those interested, an online application may be requested by completing the Equity Fund interest form found on our website, uwmidsouth.org. So tomorrow, I'll begin my 8th year among you in this capacity, with wide-eyed anticipation of the work ahead of us. But I want you to know I'm also clear-eyed about the future, a future that will be formed by the disruptive realities of this persistent pandemic. As Jean Morton mentioned, the headwinds we face. What I can say is that we are yet facing forward. In 2023, your United Way of the Mid-South will celebrate our 100th anniversary, our centennial anniversary. As the old-time TV announcers used to say, stay tuned. Finally today, let me say that for me, our work together is about ministry, about changing lives, about helping to heal our land. And I'm really grateful to be in partnership with you in this work. It is because regardless of the conventional wisdom about trends in philanthropy, about giving patterns of individuals, I know that you understand that to have true impact upon the communities in which we live, to truly make a change, to make a difference in the Mid-South, and to not only touch lives, but to actively engage in the transformation of the lives of thousands who live among us, we've got to live united. It is a matter of faith for me that where there's a you, there's a way, our united way. Thank you so much. Please stay in touch.